Yep. Okay, well, hi everyone. Now, you're enjoying yourselves tonight at the Members Night, which is this kick-off event for the season for ACJC to be held in a couple of weeks in August. But we're recording tonight at the, the Seta Wang Fashion Evening here at Standard X Hotel in Fitzroy. I've got John Blight here, who's a racing bloodstock advisor for ACJC. John, when was the last fashion event you attended?
This would be the first. Yep. It's always a first for everything.
John's here. John's mum's here tonight, a very honoured guest. So it's going to be a fantastic evening. Things are just getting going here. So what we wanted to do was, because John's going to not be with us in August, so we wanted to do a little recording tonight about the ACJC horses. So I think we start with the horse that really raised all our hopes a few weeks ago by winning the Group 1 Brisbane Cup, Alalkans. What's the latest on that horse, John?
Well, Alalkans obviously returned to a brilliant best by winning the Brisbane Cup by 5 lengths. Unfortunately, that's to be her last ever race start. She returned to training in last month and unfortunately did a tendon. Given she's a rising 7-year-old, the decision has been made to retire her, and she's going to return to England to be sold in the December very prestigious Tattersalls Mares sale, and that's actually the sale that we purchased her for about 3 years ago.
Yeah, okay. Talking about sort of Melbourne Cup runners, last year we had Vauban in the Cup. I know when the rain arrived, I was very confident, John. I think from memory, 4th or 5th, was it?
He ran 6th.
6th.
Yes.
What's his campaign looking like for spring?
Vauban, as we know, performs exceptionally well first up, and with that in mind, the stable's looking at the best race for him to be competitive in first up. That will either be the Hill Stakes worth $2 million at Rose Hill, or the Might and Power Stakes worth $1 million, a Group 1 race at Caulfield, both on the 10th of October. From there, most likely would migrate to a Moonee Valley Cup and a Zipping Classic. Whether or not they get to a Melbourne Cup this year, at the time they'll make that decision. It would be his 4th year in a row to run in the Melbourne Cup if he gets there, but he is a rising 9-year-old.
Yeah, okay. Staying on the Melbourne Cup, we've got ACJC's invested in another import, Euphrates. Can you tell us a bit about this horse, John? Who's going to train him in Australia? What's his campaign looking like?
Euphrates has his second trial this time in for Gabe Waterhouse and Adrian Bott on Friday. From there, he'll most likely resume Saturday week in the Premier's Cup Prelude, and then lead into the Premier's Cup and then the Tats Cup. Ultimately, his first goal in the spring will be the Metropolitan Group 1, of which ACJC members have won 2 of the last 3. And then, with all fingers crossed, then he'll come down to Melbourne for the Caulfield and the Melbourne Cups.
Okay, we'll just change tack a little bit here, go to some of our younger horses. Last year we had a great thrill with a few of our 2-year-old fillies, one of which was Shiki.
Yep.
Shiki won the Jim Crack Stakes. What's her campaign looking like as a 3-year-old filly?
Well, Shiki was very impressive in a trial last week, winning by 5 lengths. She's going to have a second trial on Monday in Melbourne. She's on her way, actually, as we speak. She's on her way down to Melbourne, and her first up run will be at Caulfield in 2 weeks in the Quezette Stakes. The stable have decided to really utilise her brilliant sprinting ability and not worry about trying to step her up in distance this campaign, and so therefore her races will be distanced through the spring, and they'll be all looking at around about 1100 metres, and there's a nice series of 3-year-old fillies races right through the spring for her.
Another 2-year-old filly that really I think maybe surprised us a little bit, it was Torture. Torture won the Debutante Stakes on debut at Caulfield. I think the Hayes had another runner in that race who was a bit more favoured in the market.
Yep.
But how's this horse looking, Torture?
Well, look, last Saturday Torture resumed, and unfortunately anything that could go wrong did go wrong. So we just draw a line right through that run. She was vetted on Sunday, and she's absolutely fine. So what the stable is going to do is run her at Sandown in a couple of weeks' time, 3 weeks' time in fact, over 1,400 metres in a 3-year-old open race. And then assuming that she comes through that really well, she's then back on track for a 1,000 guineas campaign, and that's her aim, is to step her out to the 1,600 metres this preparation and look to try and enhance her future broodmare value by running a really great race in the 1,000 guineas.
Okay. Now another horse that's trialled, a new horse for ACJC, is known as, what is it, Hello G'day?
Hello G'day.
Tell us about this one.
Hello G'day is a horse that we purchased in New Zealand 2 years ago with Annabelle and Rob Archibald. This horse races in the ACJC colours. It trialled at Hawkesbury actually on Monday and ran really well when it wasn't expected to do anything, and it, just out of its own ability, ran third in a photo finish. She'll have one more trial and then go to the races. She's a horse that's rapidly improving, and we could see her being very competitive in 3-year-old fillies company at city class and better right through the spring.
Okay, now John, is there any other ACJC runners we could talk about?
There are. So I think that ACJC members have an interest in 2 other horses heading to the Melbourne Cup.
Fantastic.
Al Riffa, who actually contested the Melbourne Cup last year, ran 7th. He's been very competitive in the best staying races around the world since the Melbourne Cup. In Hong Kong, in the Hong Kong Vase, he was 4th. Dubai, he was 6th in the Gold Cup. He went to Royal Ascot for the very prestigious Royal Ascot Gold Cup, where he ran 4th, and most recently ran 3rd in the Curragh Cup. He will have one more run in Europe and then get on a plane back to Melbourne for the Melbourne Cup, which is his main focus for the year, and he'll be very competitive in that race. Another horse that's coming out as well, assuming that he does the job this weekend at Goodwood, is a horse called Small Fry, raced by ACJC, and he's running in a 2,800 metre race on Saturday at Goodwood, Glorious Goodwood Carnival, and then we'll have one further run in Ireland, I think, and then get on the plane with Al Riffa to come to Melbourne for the Melbourne Cup. So they're 2 very promising horses for the ACJC through the spring. At the back half of the spring, there'll be 2 further horses with Adrian Bott and Gay Waterhouse that will be heading into the feature races sort of in November and December. New Endeavour and Bear on the Loose. New Endeavour is an exceptionally good horse, and he's training exceptionally well at the moment, and we think he'll be very competitive in races like the Gong, which he ran 3rd in last year, and the Ingham. Bear on the Loose is more of a 2,000 metre specialist horse, and there's a nice series of listed and Group 3 races through the summer months that he's been specifically set for this campaign. I think they'll both bring us a lot of happiness in that sort of November-December time frame. The final horse I just mentioned is a horse that's fresh off the plane, literally from Europe, called Santa Bravado. We purchased him at the Goff sale the night before the Royal Ascot Carnival. A number of ACJC members are involved in him. He's not per se an ACJC syndicate horse, but he's owned by members of ACJC. And we think that he's a horse that probably late this year will have 1 or 2 runs, and he's one to watch for sort of the Brisbane Winter Carnival next year, like what New Endeavour did when he came to Australia. We think he's a very, very talented horse. I think they're the main ones that I'd probably highlight for the ACJC, but there's a lot of horses running over all sorts of distance ranges in all sorts of classes that should give a lot of fun right through the spring for ACJC to cheer on.
Fantastic, John. I just have to say, as an owner, John does a fantastic job looking after the accounts of our horses. He does very good detailed breakdowns of all the money we make, hopefully, and all the costs that come in. It makes it all very easy. So thanks so much, John, for everything you do.
No problems, thank you.
Okay, have a great night, everyone.
Enjoy.